Welcome. Welcome to Live with Palalo Creations. So, got a couple things I was thinking to do tonight. It's kind of late, a little past midnight here locally. Just got my teenage daughters to bed, and so thought I'd make a lot of noise here in the shop. Why not? So, actually, first I'm, whoa. Wasn't intending for the air compressor to still be on, so just turned it off, and drained it. So just got some plastic wrap here so that I can protect the router table surface. And I think that should be enough. Yeah, that should definitely be enough for this. If I do it right. And if I do it wrong, then who cares? All right. So this is several pieces of oak hardwood that I've salvaged. It used to be some hardwood flooring, and I've removed the nails. That one's not the best one to show you, but I've removed the nails. And actually, you know what? I was going to record on, I've got another camera set up here, so I can have a dual camera set up. Hopefully record some other footage as I go along here. So let me turn this guy on and get him recording. And let's see here. Just need to adjust my angle a little bit. And then start recording. There we go. And let's see. Also just check in on, looks like okay, there we go. All right. So we got the chat going. So if anyone wants to jump into the chat and just tell me where you're watching from, what time it is where you are. I'm in Idaho in the United States, and it is a little bit past midnight here. So feel free to jump into the chat. Let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. And yeah, I'll get going on gluing this up. I think I've got that secondary camera recording. Looks like it's working. So just going to grab a brush, and you know what? Usually I'm using just Type Bond Original, but for this might end up actually being food grade. So I'm going to pull out the Type Bond 3, and of course my Type Bond 3 is not in the shop at the moment, so I like to keep my glue in a more temperature controlled area when it's not in use. So hopefully it's still usable. I haven't used this for a while because most of the stuff I've been doing has been I've been able to use just the original instead of the Type 1.3. So let's see how that goes. Down south in Arizona. Awesome. So it's probably 11:16 where you're at. Return to Jesus, I'm presuming. All right. So I'm just going to glue this up. So I was showing you before, I've got these nail holes that on each of these on one side of them, because as floorboards, they were nailed in from the edge into the floorboards, right? And so I'm going to keep all of those nail holes on the bottom side of the project here because I don't want them to be visible. So, all right. Actually, let me think this through. I want that side up, and then I will connect that to here. Let me think through. I think I'm actually going to go the opposite direction on all of these so that it's easy for me to glue them up and into the next one. All right, so this one I'm going to have just down, since these are all different sizes, and wish me luck here. Let's see if I can even get the glue open. There we go. All right. I just want it spread out, a nice, even, relatively thin, nice, even layer here. Okay. That gives me a good gauge for how much glue to do on each of these. That should be enough. Close that up, put it to the side. Spread out the glue on the rest of these. Glue up can be kind of a tense time because you only have so much time to get everything connected how you want it to be before the glue starts setting. Titebond 3 gives you more open time than with Titebond Original or Titebond 2. So I should be less concerned about that for this. So we'll just say that I am less concerned. All right. And we'll just put that off to the side. And actually, I'm going to put over this guy again, since some of that glue has already been absorbed. So I'll just take some of the glue that was still on the brush. Okay. All right. And now just want to clamp. Okay, those are too small. I'm going to use some longer clamps here. right. Oh. Okay. And uh, don't know that that's really working how I want it to. So I'm going to modify this a little bit. And go. And get another board under there. I just want to get these up off the surface a little so that I can get a little bit better clamping pressure. All right, so that should let me get this on a little bit more evenly. I don't know how well you can see, but this isn't centered on there. So I just want to kind of get that more centered so that it's applying the pressure right on there. And this one's kind of slipped off entirely. There we go. Okay. Go. And I think one more should be good. Let me know in the chat how often you guys are gluing up boards and what I'm doing wrong, how I can do this better. Because I don't really do a lot of panel glue ups, even small panels like this. So some of you watching are probably like, yeah, no kidding, it's obvious. So all right. So that's probably good enough for now on that. Let me give you guys a little bit closer view. What it looks like. And oh, it looks like we've got some chat participants here. Vera Crane, hello. Craig Posh, good to see you, man. Too much pressure is what will make it warp. Found out doing your flags. I'm gonna leave this run tight, but not over tighten. Yeah. So I'm wanting it tight enough. I'm not really getting much squeeze out, so maybe I didn't put enough glue in there. and, the glue that's visible here is mostly from, the glue that was, kind of when I was brushing it on, it kind of ran off the edges. So there's not a lot of glue squeeze out, which is maybe a little concerning for me, but I feel like it's plenty tight. So I don't really want to go any tighter than that. Yeah, that was smart. So yeah, now I have to redo it. And now I'm eating into my open time, and I've busted up whatever adherence I had already got. So it might be wise to, I think I'm just gonna pull it all apart and do another round of glue. That's actually feeling pretty good right there. So I'm gonna leave that. Oh, I'm gonna leave that and just put a little bit more glue on each of those. And maybe that'll give me a little bit more squeeze out. Not that I need a ton of squeeze out, but, and I'm just doing a little bit. I don't want a ton of extra glue. This is something I often, well, not often, but sometimes will do with, if I'm gluing something with end grain, I'll actually purposely do, apply some glue and then just let it sit for a bit, let that glue soak in, and then do another round. And that way the end grain soaks up a lot of that glue, and the second application will adhere to the other surfaces a lot better. It's not what I'm doing here because this is not end grain, it's side grain, edge grain, whatever. But mostly I just kind of screwed up, so I'm trying to fix the screw up. So we'll see how that goes. Actually, I want that direction. All right. So all right. All right. So I'm going to need to hold this up and move that guy. Actually, I'm just going to put this one in the center instead of trying to move things around a lot. Okay. Next clamp. Okay. Try to move that guy over. Huh. Okay. I think having those under there now is causing a problem. Yeah, like that. Yeah, and I've got too much. So if I'm going to have those boards underneath, I need to not have them on the same line as the all right, I'm going to go like that, have it at an angle, and try and do the same thing with this board underneath. Have him at an angle as I just completely mess around with the whole glue up. Good thing Type Bond 3 has a longer open time, huh? And let me move this guy over. All right. Okay. All right, trying to have some even, but not very crazy pressure here. All right, well, let's see how that does. And let's see. Whoa. All right. That's about the right pressure. Yeah. Need a more stable base. Yeah, I agree with that, Charles. Radha Krishnan, hello. Thanks for joining us. Lutho, thanks for joining us. Shoop, hey, how's it going? Don't really need those two boards underneath on the table. It'd be easier. Yeah, I don't know if you saw earlier, but when I didn't have the boards underneath, let me kind of use this as an example. The round circle here. Let me grab another board. Whoa! Since the boards were resting directly on the router table there, it couldn't go more than that, and so the pressure was kind of at an angle. So that's why I wanted to raise them up a little bit, so that way the pressure can be right on the right in the middle of the board instead of angled one way or the other. So I figure that that's more likely to cause, warping if the pressure is coming kind of on a downward force instead of just a straight across. So that's what I'm trying to accomplish here by raising them up a little bit. But then after I raised them up, I had the boards positioned in such a way that they were hitting the sides of the clamps instead of just supporting the boards underneath. And so that was causing some issues there. So hopefully this setup will actually work, where the boards are supporting the panel, but not interfering with the clamps. So we'll see. And all right. And yeah, Charles, you see what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay. Up to something outdoors. Hey, good to see you, man. Thanks for joining us. So that is gluing up. Titebond says you're supposed to keep it clamped for at least 30 minutes. And I don't really have a need to unclamp it before that. But then I think it says to, not apply any pressure for 24 hours, something like that. So it's going to be a while before it's ready for the next process, regardless of when I remove the clamps. But yeah, it says joints should fit tightly, apply a heavy spread of glue to surface, and clamp for a minimum of 30 minutes. So maybe I didn't apply as thick a bead there as I should have, but we'll call it good until it doesn't work. Then we'll call it not good. Remove excess wet glue with clean, damp cloth. Close cap after use. I'm not really worried about removing the excess because after this is all glued up, I'm just going to plane it anyway. So that'll take off any excess glue that way. And I don't want to apply any wet surfaces to it. So, and let's see. Oh, not for continuous submersion or use below the waterline. So good to know. If you're thinking to put any wood underwater, even though it says it's waterproof, this isn't the glue for you if it's going to be underwater long term. So, all right. So now that is glued up, let me move on to a different project. So, let's see. What am I making? Oh, good question. Yeah, Kyle says most wood glues are water soluble. Yep. And Titebond 3 is a little bit different. So I don't think I have any Titebond 2 right now, but you got Titebond Original, which works really well for situations where you're not going to be exposed to water. So this is what I use for most things that I'm just going to be using in the shop. So for example, I've got this little fence that I made for my bandsaw, and so I've got it glued, this board to that board, this board to this board, and that board. Basically everything's glued, and then also I've got some brad nails in there. I don't know if you can actually I even had that on camera. But it's not very humid here in Idaho, at least not in southwestern Idaho. It's an arid climate, and so I'm not worried about water issues here in the shop. And so for things like that, Titebond Original works just fine. The Titebond 2 is considered water resistant. And so it can handle, a little bit more sporadic exposure to water. Titebond 2, it says it's waterproof. So this is what you'd want to use if you've got something that's going to be outdoors, in the rain, exposed to the elements. But it does say on the instructions, it's not for continuous submersion. So most glues aren't gonna work that long for that. So let's see. And yeah, hello up to hi Laxman and Abe and Laxman, what's up? Yeah, and so what am I making? On this, I was thinking to make a kind of a platter for kind of a serving tray sort of thing. But I don't know how many of you watching are familiar with Dylan's homemade woodworking. I think, no, homemade or handmade. Handmade. They want handmade woodworking, I think. So he issued a challenge a while ago that we should make projects that incorporate a heart in some way. So I was thinking to make a little heart-shaped serving tray out of this oak. So that's my plan anyway. So after the glue up is done, I was going to plane it, get rid of the excess glue, and then you also make it nice and flat. And then cut it into a heart shape, or I was thinking to make it into either a circle or a like kind of an oval, and then have a heart inside of it that maybe I just route out the heart shape in the middle. So anyway, still undecided exactly on what to do there, on whether I'm going to cut the heart shape or cut it into a different shape and then have a heart inset, basically routed out, something like that. So still deciding, but let me know in the chat what you think. What would be better, having an alternate shape, a circle, an oval, whatever, with a heart inside, or just make the whole thing into a heart-shaped tray or platter or whatever. So let me know what you guys think in the chat. So with that glued up, I can't really do anything on it for a while. So let's see, what am I making? Yeah, so just address that. And Kyle says Gorilla Glue Original is waterproof. That works good, but it's kind of brittle. And then, yeah, that sounds good. Great. So Kyle, on the Gorilla Glue, that could be the case. I haven't really ever used the Gorilla Wood Glue. I'm presuming you're talking about Gorilla Wood Glue. Let me check your Gorilla Glue Original. Gorilla Glue, there's a few different kinds. So there's obviously the wood glue options, and then there's other stuff too. I haven't really ever used the Gorilla Glue for woodworking. I think mostly because what I've seen from other YouTube people. I want to say that I've seen it on Project Farm. I don't know if probably a lot of you are familiar with Project Farm. I don't remember if that's where I saw it, but I think I saw it there. He does elaborate testing on various stuff, and my recollection was that Gorilla Glue didn't do as well as Titebond when it came to wood applications, but I could be wrong. So I've pretty much just stuck with Titebond, and I'm not sponsored or anything, because why would anyone be sponsoring me? But yeah, so that's I've kind of just stuck with the Titebond family of wood glues. So all right, bedside mobile stand ideas or blueprints. Okay, my wrists are painting, holding this mobile while in bed, holding it. Okay, cool. Bedside mobile stand ideas or blueprints. So are you asking for ideas for a bedside stand? Is that what I'm understanding? You could definitely have, if you wanted to make a bedside stand, I can just kind of give a quick idea, right? You could have a pole of some kind, or something like this that has a base down below that could go under the bed, assuming you have space under the bed that it could fit, and then have a similar tray type setup up above. Obviously it doesn't have to be this tall. It could be whatever height fits well for your bed setup. And I'm not saying just have it this thin, right? You could have it as as wide, as long, whatever as you want, because it's custom made, right? But basically, if you have the base down below and then the tray up above, that should give you enough support, I would think, as long as everything's well jointed, well connected, so that you could have that be either by the bed, or turn it so that you've got access to that tray on the bed. So it's just quick idea, I guess, if that's what you're asking. Maybe you're trying to say something entirely different. I don't know. And let's see, like some ideas. Yeah, so that's one way. And let's see, like some ideas. Stand behind the counter as if you're selling us something. What do you want to buy? I could sell something if you really want. Don't have anything set to sell quite yet, but let me look around. Maybe I could find something. Let me know what you're looking to buy, and maybe I can help you there. All right. What about a bed on the floor? The mattress on the floor? So the nice thing about a mattress on the floor is that you don't really need to have much height with your tray, right? Or with your use the term that you were actually asking for here, bedside mobile stand, right? So you wouldn't have to have very much height at all. So you could just use a small box. You said mobile. I didn't really notice that before. So you could get some casters. Let's see. I've got some here. Right. So you could get some big old honking casters like these guys. And let me adjust this a little bit. So you could use something like this that I think would be pretty overkill, right? But it's a locking, a caster with brakes, and so that would definitely make it mobile. Attach 4 of these guys to the bottom of your small box or whatever. But then there's a lot smaller casters that you can use as well, and I'm pretty sure I've got some in here somewhere, but they're maybe buried a little bit, so might take me a little bit to find some of them. Oh, here's some. So I removed these guys off of, these were on, you know what, I think these were actually on this cabinet. So I've taken this cabinet. I got it from my brother-in-law, and it's just an old kitchen cabinet. I don't know how well you can see the cabinet itself, right? But so yeah, it's just an old kitchen cabinet with no top on it, right? So the drawers are open to the bottom to the top. So he brought it to me with a table saw on top, and I ended up deciding that I didn't really care for the table saw, so I got rid of it, and instead converted this into a router table. So it was mobile, which was great for moving it around in a small shop like this, but not great because with the table saw, these were I believe these were the casters that were on it, and so there's no way to put a brakes on, right? So anytime you put any kind of pressure on the table saw, the cabinet would move. And when you've got a blade spinning at thousands of rotations per minute, that's not really something you want to be doing. And so I removed these guys and put on some different casters that do have brakes on them. They're not perfect, right? So I don't have the brakes engaged right now, but it will still move a little bit. But generally not very much, and only in certain circumstances. So it works pretty well. But yeah, so smaller casters like that, and you can get these for pretty cheap at like a Lowe's or Home Depot, Harbor Freight. So I've gotten a bunch of different casters from Harbor Freight for really cheap, and so that could be a solution for a mobile stand next to a mattress on the floor. Again, just get make a small box and put the casters on the bottom. You could even just make a smaller version of this. So this is a stand that I just made for flattening a bench. Whoa! What I get for trying to carry stuff around in here. So I'll just set this up over here, and then move this guy out of the way. All right. So basically, I was trying to, I set up a router sled using this guy and some sawhorses. So I just set the router sled on top of the sawhorses. And then this isn't the router that I was using, but same kind of concept. I could just use the router sled to flatten out the surface of the slab that I had underneath. But what I was getting at before I got so distracted with my router sled and everything is that you could build something like this, but it doesn't have to be this big. It can be on a much smaller scale, and then just have casters at the bottom of the legs, right? And that makes it mobile. So you wouldn't even have to have a true box. You could just make it a stand like this with casters on the bottom and move it around. Now, this guy, I didn't reinforce the legs at all. I just have the legs screwed into the plywood, or rather I've got the screws going through the plywood into those 2x4 legs, and that's not the greatest, most secure way to connect things. It'd be much better if I had some other supports there, but I was basically just doing a quick and dirty jig to accomplish a task, and I actually was thinking that I'd probably have torn that apart by now. So I was not wanting to make it a hugely robust build. I was mostly just trying to serve a particular purpose, and so that purpose has mostly been served. The bench has been flattened, but I actually have another bench that I'm going to flatten as well. So that's why I haven't ripped that apart quite yet. So let me get back to see what the chat is telling me. Okay, mattress, by the way, good idea. Let me see that. I have good patience. Yeah, maybe. And Cosmocrat says, I don't want to irritate you, but you live in the present day, here and now, but this is exactly what irritates me. Okay. I'm not sure exactly what irritates you about living in the here and now, but we all have to deal with irritants. You know what I mean? I'm reminded of the movie The Three Amigos, right? It says we all have to deal with our el guapos in life. For some it may be that they can't read. For others, maybe they can't sew, right? And then they said something along the lines of, our El Guapo happens to be the real El Guapo who wants to kill us. So paraphrasing there, not a direct quote. So sorry, my memory is a little bit faulty, but we all have irritants that we have to deal with in life. Our irritant happens to be the real El Guapo who wants to kill us. All right. And okay, got it. Sorry, my mistake, not explaining. I meant a mobile holder while I sleep on mattress on floor. Please share if you have any ideas. I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that, Laxman. So a mobile holder while I sleep on mattress on the floor. Please share if you have any ideas. Are you saying a mobile holder for the mattress, or something that you can have near the mattress to hold stuff or whatever? Because I thought you were saying that you were holding your phone or something, having difficulty with that. So let me see. Let's see here. You said bedside mobile stand ideas or blueprints. So bedside mobile stand. Wrists are painting, holding this mobile while on bed holding it. Okay. Painting. Okay. So your wrists are hurting because you're holding the are you saying you want something to hold your cell phone with, like a cell phone holder? Maybe I'm completely missing the point. So let's see. Oh, this is okay. If I can figure out how to work the laptop here. Yeah, cell phone holder. Oh, okay. And shoot, thanks for subbing to my wife's channel. For those of you who don't know, my wife recently got a kidney transplant. She had previously received a multi-organ transplant. She had her stomach, liver, pancreas, small intestine, and colon replaced. That was back in 2015, so nearly 10 years ago, almost exactly 10 years ago, actually. And then last month, she got a kidney transplant. So she has now 6 transplanted organs, which is not the most organs transplanted in a single person ever, but it's quite a few. And she's doing well, recovering. Unfortunately, she has to be back in Indiana where they performed the surgery for probably several more weeks at least. And so, yeah, but she's doing well, recovering, getting stronger, walking more and more each day, trying to let her body heal and everything. But thanks, Shoop, for subscribing to her channel. Melinda Nelson Transplant is the name of that channel. So anyone who's interested in following her and seeing what things were like prior to the transplant, during the transplant, I mean, not during the surgery itself, because she was kind of asleep for that. But anyone who wants to check her out, check out her channel. Melinda Nelson Transplant is the name of the channel. Yeah, so cell phone holder, need to make it in wood, had some lying around. Okay, so yeah, I mean, there are lots of different ways to do that. You want it to be a mobile holder or a holder for the mobile? A holder for the mobile is what you're asking. So yeah, you could just take some scrap wood, right? And I've got plenty of that lying around. But just a really simple solution would be, let me just make one real quick. Let me think here. Yeah, I mean, I could just use this stuff, and we just do a really easy one, and go from there. And let me just kind of rearrange stuff here in the shop a little bit. Let me think of how I want to make these cuts. All right. So I'm trying to decide if I want to use the bandsaw or the table saw. I think I'll go with the table saw because it's just so much more fun. All right. So slide this guy over here. Actually, not quite that far. Over here. And And give myself a little bit more cord space to get over here. And let's see, you guys probably can't see what I'm doing at all here. All right. So let's see. Oh, thanks for joining, Shoop. Shoop just looks like you added a membership. Appreciate it. Okay. Need to make it in wood, had some lying around. All right. So I've just got some lying around as well. Just some scrap wood here. So I'm going to get some eye protection and ear protection. Shoop is a member now. Awesome. Everyone is welcome to become members too. So I'm not sure exactly, push one of the buttons, sign up. But yeah, appreciate it, Shoop. All right, so I've just got this. Oh, apparently I didn't have the crosscut sled in the tracks there. So let me see if I can give you guys any better view than what I was showing you already. So the crosscut sled, basically the blade comes through right here. So I have a very good idea of where it's going to cut. I've got a stop block right here with the tape measure. So I'm not really that worried about the tape measure. I'm just going to move my workpiece right here so that I can see that the blade's going to give me a nice clean cut on that side. And then move my stop block into place right there. Move that guy over. And I just need to raise my blade up high enough to cut all the way through the stock. I usually like for the, I don't know how well you can see this, but I usually like for the carbide tips to be up above the stock. So I'm actually going to put it that way because I think I've got a little bit more support right there than I do on that side. So, all right. And then I'm just going to cut this. And I've got a shop vac with cyclone separator connected to the table saw. So whenever I turn on the table saw, the shop vac and cyclone separator also go into action. So let's go ahead and make a cut. So now I have smaller scrap. So I'll just put this over here with some other small scrap that I'm going to take out to the fire pit at some point. And then I'm just going to flip this around and give myself another clean edge here. And I'll just adjust my stop block a smidge. Actually, I wonder if that looks like it's a little bit more reliable. So there we go. I'll just lock that in. So I'm just going to shave off a tiny little bit there. Make sure I have a nice parallel side. And as long as I'm at it, I'm just going to shave off each end as well. Now, you may have noticed that I haven't really been measuring anything. And yeah, this obviously it's not exactly square, but I'm not really that worried about it. So I'm actually going to use that as a reference point to shave off a little bit more, because I guess I am a little bit worried about it. And that'll also give me the reference for how wide this thing is. So then when I cut this, I can nail that in. All right. So that is a particular width. And I'm just going to cut this guy the same width. And actually just a hair shorter. And all right. Let me think here. How do I want to do this? All right, so let me think about what kind of angle that I want, how much of an angle I'd want. So I'm just gonna square that off actually. Okay, so now I'm going to remove a notch from this and a bigger notch from this. And the best thing to do that on is probably the bandsaw. Ooh, that was close. Huh. All right, so here's the bandsaw. And let me check out on the chat here, see what I've missed. Cell phone holder, yep. Make it in wood, yep. Number, yep, yeah. And everybody check out Shoop's channel. And live had 19,000 views. Wow, sweet. And nickname Just Do It. That sounds like something I've heard before. I just can't remember where. Where have I heard that before? All right, so let me get this set up. So this is just an old Craftsman bandsaw. And I made the fence for it. Didn't come with one. So then I'll just grab my adjustment here for my adapter for the dust collection. All right. So that's pretty much all set up. And I'm going to want a couple of clamps for wherever I end up putting my my fence. And my plastic wrap that I was using earlier. I'm sure my wife would be happy to know that I got the plastic wrap in the garage, in the shop. All right, so let me just grab the speed square and pencil. Okay, so I think right about there. I'm just going to go one width of the stalk up. And let's see, that should be pretty close. Okay, and then on this, I'll just do the same. Actually, I'm going to go this direction because I've got the grain flowing that way, so I don't want to have it mismatched. I want to follow the grain. So there and there. Okay, so basically the idea is that where these lines are, that this piece will be intersecting with this piece. So just trying to think if I need to do, if I should just go half on one, half on the other. I think I will do all right, so I'm just over 3 inches. Right about there. And right about there. Okay. So I just need to cut out a notch on one side and on the other side, and then they should be able to fit in. All right. So let's see if that actually works how I'm intending. So give you a view of the bandsaw here. And my first cut going to be right there. I'm just going to lock in my Homemade fence. All right. So I don't know what angle is going to be best for you all, but we'll do that for now. All right. And we'll throw on the vacuum and start cutting on the bandsaw. So, all right. Here we go. All right. So I flipped this over so that I could just cut with my fence still in place, because I didn't want to have to swap it over to be on this side. And so I just set this piece next to it. I was just trying to see where it got to the same point. And then it seemed to work out pretty well, right? Almost exactly. So now I'm going to adjust this over so that I can make the cut on the opposite side for both of those, and go from there. We'll take off the clamps, adjust the fence over to right about there, put my clamps back on. On both sides. It'd be nice if this had a better locking fence mechanism, but it's not too terrible. It works. So vacuum and bandsaw back on. All right. Yeah. Nike. Yep. Not can be done through router. Yeah, it can. And so I'm going to take the fence off now to join those two lines. Hopefully I don't make it, hopefully I can make that pretty straight even without the guidance there. But we'll see. The guidance of the fence, I mean. All right. So now for our moment of truth. And of course, I've got it angled all wrong. So basically just slide in like that, press like that. And then if you've got a mobile device, it would probably be smaller than this piece of scrap, but it could fit on there just fine. All right. And if you want to be able to charge it in the meantime, so maybe you need a little bit of space for, if you wanted to charge it in the middle, then I shouldn't have gone all the way over here, because I don't want to cut all the way in here, because that'll take this off entirely. But we could still do something to, put a hole through here or something that would allow you to have space for, for being able to charge it in the meantime. But yeah, it's a simple, quick build out of some scrap that can basically hold your mobile device. So let's see. Let's see. Can you just stop the machine and remove the unwanted cut pieces? Yeah, I can. But so anyway, that's one way to do it. And then let's say that you wanted it to be a little cleaner and not have all these crazy pencil marks everywhere. All right. So in that case, let me put away my clamps here so that they're where I expect them to be the next time I want to use them. And so then I would just get out my little sander here, and just have these little Centec connections. So it just goes right over the sander there. This sanding pad, I'm not sure how old it is, but I'm just going to replace it. And I just need to have a little sandpaper holder right there with the different grits designated, so it's easy for figuring out what's what. Oh, so I'll just throw some 220 on there, and I'm going to disconnect the hose, the vacuum hose from the bandsaw, and connect it to the sander. And plug this guy in. And I need to put my, unplug the bandsaw. And I need to put on some eye protection and ear protection again. And turn on the vacuum and turn on the sander. So all right. Yeah. I didn't get that quite as cleaned off as I wanted. Just hit it a little bit more. All right, that should be, well, see, and every time I turn it over, I realize it might just be that the surface I'm putting it on is picking stuff up on it, but just sand this guy off a little bit. Yeah, I wonder if that's picking it up from the surface down below, or I'll just hit it one more time now that I've sanded below. See if it does the same thing. Yeah, I think that is just kind of picking up a little bit of the residue of shellac or whatever I've got on the work table here. And see. Hi, Keg Dog. Thanks for joining us, man. All right, so with that done, yeah, see, this one's got the same issue as before. So really, I should sand this with a lower grit, and because I've used this before for just spraying shellac, and so you can see I've got a lot of kind of shellac residue on there. So I think that's kind of what's happening as I apply the pressure sanding here. It's pushing it down into the wood below and picking up some of this, shellac and whatever other residue from prior jobs, prior projects. So all right, we'll call that good. And then, so yeah, that works. This is a much looser joint than, if I were, plotting this out to do it, a really nice finish type job. But for just kind of proof of concept, works just fine. So, that'll support a cell phone. That'll support probably an iPad too. That's robust. Well, actually, it might not, because an iPad might be a little too top heavy, so it might tip it over. So I've got probably too much of an angle there. But a phone should be just fine with something like that. So something like that could work. Laxman, if you're still with us, let me know if that kind of build would work for you, or you said good work, but I'm not sure if that means that would be a workable solution for your situation, or if that doesn't really help. But even if this exact build isn't what works best for you, you can still use something similar and just kind of modify it based on what will meet your needs. That's one of the beautiful things about woodworking, is that you can customize it to what you want and what you need. Let's say that this kind of thing does work, but you want it to be prettier instead of just these hard, harsh 90-degree angles. You could then take it to the router and do a round over or any other kind of decorative edge on all of these edges, and make it so that it speaks to you and your aesthetics, right? So anyway, that's one way to do it. So let me know if that's something that would work for you or not, if you're still with us. So anyway, let's kind of check on our glue up, because you probably safely remove the clamps now. So remember, that's what we were working on earlier. And just adjust this up a little bit. Actually, I'm going to give you a view entirely here. All right. So that should be plenty dry enough for removing the clamps. I don't want to put any pressure on the joints for a bit yet. So I can put these clamps away. Oh no, I think I got a little bit of plastic stuck in that joint. That is a risk I did not really think about. There we go. I think I got most of it. All right. So you can see there's still, a fair amount of glue residue there. And this joint isn't particularly close. So this one's got a little bit of issue too. But on the top side, I don't anticipate that many people are going to see the bottom. So this one seems like it should be okay for the most part, but we'll see. And I'm going to have to plane away a little bit. This guy is a little off. So this piece right here, you can see on this side, it's a little raised up from the rest of the panel. And over here, it's fine, right? But didn't do the greatest job right there. And this one too has a fair amount of lip on this side, but it's pretty flat over here. So these two are joined pretty well. This one has a little bit of a gap. So all in all, maybe a C if I were grading myself. But yeah, C is still passing, so it could still get the job done. So I'll just put that over here to let the glue cure, and throw away the plastic wrap and the little brush that I used for the glue. Move the router table out of the way again here so I can make it over to my little trash receptacle. And well, I was thinking I might make a box tonight, but I think after making that little mobile device stand, I'm probably good for the night. So I'm going to call it quits. Anyone who's enjoyed the time here, go ahead and hit the like button. If you want to come back another time, be sure to subscribe. Let me see if got anything else. Beautiful. Thank you, Ruffles. Appreciate it. I assume you're talking about my beard. I mean, what else could you be talking about? Yeah, so like, subscribe, all the stuff. If you have any other questions, be sure to get it in the chat right away. Otherwise, I'm going to call it a night, and see you all on the next time. So if you have any questions or requests, get them in there right away as I get things put away and cleaned up here. And Jamel Vilmas, thanks for joining us. Hello. And yes, any other questions you guys have? Any concerns? Any jokes? Go ahead and throw it in the chat. If you want to tell us where you're watching from, what time it is where you are, feel free to throw that in the chat. And if we don't have any other things that you guys want to talk about, I think I'm going to probably call it a night because it's approaching 2 a.m. here. So, Laxman, I will want expendable to my ears. I'm not exactly sure what you mean by expendable to your ears. So expendable, I would think to mean that it can be discarded. But I don't know that you'd want it discarded to your ears. That doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. But does something simple like that serve your purposes, or what modifications do we need to make it expendable to your ears, or something different? Expendable to my ears. I'm guessing that you intended a different word than expendable. Maybe expendable, maybe you meant maybe you're intending to say something along the lines of being able to hear, so that the speaker is kind of amplified from the base of the phone, so that if you have it pointed down and the speaker is on, that it will broadcast more. I'm not sure that that's something I would want while I'm in bed, but some people I could definitely understand. Extendable, yeah. Expandable, a couple of possibilities there. Expandable, extendable. So expandable to my ears, let's see. Yeah. I'm not sure what. Are you saying yeah to the expandable, to the extendable, or to just being able to hear the speaker while it's in the stand, having it yeah, maybe you're thinking expand the sound. Maybe that was what you were going with. So expandable in that way, or basically amplification is. It sounds like amplification is probably what you're after, and with wood, amplification with wood. Yeah. So I've seen some stuff on that. Modifications to this to make that work aren't coming to mind at the moment. But because basically you'd want to make, you'd want it to kind of make a speaker, I think, where it's kind of expanding that way. But yeah, I'd have to think about that a little bit. Sorry, nothing's coming to me off the top of my head. So sorry, Laxman. Not thinking of a way to amplify the sound, at least not in this build. But I'm sure there are other builds out there that could accomplish that relatively easily. They're just not coming to me at the moment. So, all right. Thanks everyone for joining me, and we'll see you all next time. Have a great night.